Hello and welcome to a pregame show here on the channel. What is going on? Matt O'Leary, joined as always by my good friend Connor Long. Connor, how's it going this week?
Matt, I am doing well, and I would be feeling even better if this team can get their first win of the season today. It's going to be no easy task, however, on the road against the 2-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers without Jermaine Johnson, without some key pieces. Tony Adams, not a key piece, however. He's missing Malachi Moore in line to get his first start, third game in the league. We're going to see Tyrod Taylor under center getting the starting nod at quarterback for the first time in the green and white. So a lot of moving pieces today. The depth chart's looking a lot different than what it looked like as we were sitting here and, previewing week one of the Jets season. So a lot of moving parts already. And for the good, for the worse, I say I want quarterback controversy after this game, because if that's the case, that means that the Jets won today's football game. Go get a win at all costs, and I don't want to see Brady Cook in regular season action before week 4.
Oh, God, I didn't even think of that until you mentioned it, but you're right. Brady Cook gets elevated with Justin Fields out with the concussion. He will serve as the backup to Tyrod Taylor today. Honestly, when you ran through all the different changes that are happening for the Jets in week 3, the quarterback change isn't one that ranks crazy high on the list of concerns for me. Like, I just don't think you're going from this massive drop off from Justin Fields to Tyrod Taylor. Now, they play very different styles of football. Like, clearly, they're not going to run the same offense that they tried to run in week 1 and week 2 with all the RPOs and designed run for the quarterbacks with Tyrod Taylor. But I think we'll see a more standard, prototypical drop back offense. They'll still try to run the ball a lot in this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tyrod Taylor tries to take some shots down the field.
Certainly, and this might sound a little crazy because those out there know that I am a big Justin Fields fan, and I think where this team is, how it sits, and the expectations that we had going into the year with a first-year head coach, with a first-year GM, and that experiment mindset, I think Justin Fields is the right 17-game starter for this team. However, if you talk about one game and just you want a quarterback to get you one win, I'm taking Tyrod Taylor over Justin Fields. This is someone who's minimized turnovers throughout his entire career, even 500 record of 28-28-1 throughout his starts. He plays conservative, but he takes calculated shots down the field. He's able to produce no matter what the supporting cast looks like. I'm not expecting big things out of Tyrod Taylor. I'm not expecting, Matt, 4 passing touchdowns, 350 passing yards, but I'm expecting someone who is going to continuously move the chains, who he has been throughout his entire career, not turn the ball over, and really position this defense to get stops on defense against a very, very talented Bucs offense that, yes, will be with first round rookie Emeka Egbuka today, despite dealing with multiple injuries this week. He'll be on the field. So the Jets need to bounce back from their secondary today, and it's all about the offense setting up the defense to make plays.
Yeah, I think you're right. Unfortunately, last week in week 2 against Buffalo, it felt like the defense was on the field the entire game, and the defense played horrible. They weren't very good in week 2, but offensively, we just didn't see them very much because they were off the field seemingly every time, which was unfortunate. But you're right. I think this is a game where the Jets need the offense to set up the defense. If they're going 3 and out every possession again, well, that's keeping your defense out on the field longer and going up against a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. Listen, I get it. 3 offensive linemen, 3 starters out in this game, but he could still make plays. He has a rocket arm. He's not afraid to chuck it down the field. He's a bit of a gunslinger. But against this Jets secondary that struggled really outside of Sauce Gardner, it's a recipe for a big day offensively for Tampa Bay. So I think we really need to see some adjustments from Steve Wilkes in this defense.
My keys to victory, Matt, that I outlined in my Jets X Factor preview earlier today include protecting Tyrod Taylor at all costs and also taking advantage of the injuries that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have up front on their offensive line. When you talk about Tyrod Taylor, we were chopping up about this before the show, mentioned it briefly at the top. The Jets are one hit away, one snap away from seeing undrafted rookie Brady Cook step into action. I was big on Brady Cook throughout the entire spring. I was big on Brady Cook this summer. he is not someone you want taking regular season snaps for you, especially in week 3 of the NFL season. The Jets pass protection, the Jets protection overall up front has to follow suit with what they've shown the first 2 weeks of the year. Protect Taylor and don't expose him to any unnecessary contact in the pocket. So I expect a lot of things from the offensive line today, keeping Taylor upright. And then when you talk about taking advantage of Tampa Bay's offensive line injuries, they're going to be without two-time first-team All-Pro left tackle Tristan Wirfs today, alongside their whole right side of the line, their whole starting right side of the line, guard Cody Mach and right tackle Luke Godeke, both out for today's game. No Jermaine Johnson for the Jets. However, the defensive line needs to get in the backfield. They need to pressure Baker Mayfield, or this game could get out of reach real quick, like we saw last week against Buffalo, where they were unable to pressure Josh Allen, Matt.
Yeah, and honestly, I would like to see the Jets take a shot down the field early in this game. I think we talked about, Tyrod's willingness to stand in the pocket and push it deep down the field. Is this not a game where you think Arian Smith maybe send him long on, the first possession of the game? And even if it doesn't hit, Connor, you're having the defense respect that you're going to take shots down the field, and they have to defend that now, where if it's first down, run up the middle, second down, run up the middle, third down, incomplete pass on the sideline, well, they're just going to sell out to stop the run all day. But, if you take those chances early in this game, I think that gives you a puncher's chance as a, essentially touchdown underdog on the road.
Certainly. And when you talk about this Bucs secondary, they have some pieces. They have Antoine Winfield, one of the best safeties in the league. But when you talk about their corners as a whole, 29-year-old Jamel Dean is their cornerback one. Their secondary, their cornerback room poses a favorable matchup today for Tyrod Taylor. And the Jets, sure, I want to see them take some shots downfield. That's what Tyrod Taylor did all of 2023 with the Giants when he got an opportunity. He was taking calculated risks downfield. He was chucking them deep to Darius Slayton. Why can't that be Arian Smith today? Look, Arian Smith's skill set doesn't fit the best with Justin Fields, and what the Jets want to do with Fields in particular, play conservative, RPO heavy, don't take any calculated risks down the field. However, like you mentioned earlier, Matt, Tyrod Taylor, Justin Fields, two very different quarterbacks, and I think we're going to see that firsthand today.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to look a lot different. Let's get into some of the chat questions here and comments, Connor. I want to start with our guy Dano, big supporter. Check out his channel, Danger Zone. Says, this is a Braylon Allen breakout game. Bucky who? No, Bucky's been really good at the start of the year and going into year 2. But it's been a quiet first 2 weeks for Braylon Allen. I know he got in the end zone in week 1, but it was like 6 carries for 9 yards. Not really a efficient day running the ball. Do you agree? Do you think this is a game where we finally see Braylon Allen take that step?
Sure. Kalijah Kancey, one of their top defensive tackles, he's out for the year. This is going to be their first game without him against the Jets. And the whole thing with Braylon Allen is you run him inside the tackles. Breece Hall's the outside guy, Braylon the inside guy. When you look at a Bucs team being without one of their starters in Kancey today, this is a game certainly where we can look to see Braylon Allen's skill set come into full effect.
Yeah, and honestly, against Buffalo, he only had 2 carries, 11 yards. So the yards per attempt, much better in week 2, 5.5 yards per attempt versus just the 1.5 yards per attempt the previous week. I think I mentioned it just a second ago, but taking a shot early in this game, I think it's really important for the Jets to do that, because if they don't, the Bucs, even with the injury to Kalijah Kancey, they're a very good run stop team. So if the Jets go out and say, we don't care, we're just going to try to, run the ball with our 2 guys, well, then I think you might see a game where it's both Breece Hall and Braylon Allen with, lower yards per attempt numbers. So I like that, something you mentioned earlier too, like the pass has got to set up the run. And this is one of those games where I think it really rings true.
Certainly. And Tyrod Taylor has never been someone who just leans on the ground game and he throws the ball 15 times a game. When we see Tyrod Taylor get into game action, he's not afraid, and his play callers, frankly, haven't been afraid to drop a game plan where he throws the ball 25, 30 times a game. I want to see that today. I want to see Tyrod take some shots. I want to see Tyrod lead this team to their first win of the year, Matt. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, because I don't think this is an easy win for the Jets. The Jets are going up against the 2-0 team on the road, almost touchdown underdogs. But in my opinion, if the Jets win today's game, and it's not in spite of Taylor, and Tyrod Taylor plays well and leads this team to a win, you send him out there on Monday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins. I don't care that Justin Fields was signed by this team. He was the guy. You ride the momentum, and then you try to go 2-2, come back to MetLife, play against the Cowboys. Then you make that decision what you want to do with Fields. But I think a win today for Tyrod Taylor can mean a lot for him from a personal standpoint as well, from potentially earning a few more starts down the stretch.
I couldn't agree more with you, Connor. I don't really have the loyalty to Justin Fields. And like, that doesn't mean that I'm anti Justin Fields.
Oh, for sure.
I want to win. I want to win games. And if Tyrod comes out the next 2 weeks, let's say with Fields and concussion protocol, and they go 2-2 for, just hypothetically, and they get to 2-2, I'm riding the hot hand. And that doesn't mean you can't eventually go back to Justin Fields. I mean, let's face it, Tyrod gets banged up a lot. Chances are you probably will have to go back to Justin Fields. But I think it's so important for Aaron Glenn to win games in year one. This isn't a year. And I know there's a lot. We have a lot of people in this fan base who want the Jets to perform poorly so they get a high draft pick to get a quarterback. In all likelihood, I think the Jets will be drafting a quarterback in 2026, but let's put that on the back burner for now. Let's worry about that when we get there in the offseason. Again, I think it's such an important thing for Glenn to show improvement from where they were a year ago and win some games. That's all.
It isn't like Justin Fields was selected by this team in the first round this year, and he was told Goldie. I was talking about this on the phone with my friend Chris Grasso, my co-host on the Next Gen Jet show, and he was like, yeah, but if you bench Fields, that kind of deteriorates the whole thought process of the year. And I was like, not really, because sure, we were talking about the experiment of Fields, but never did we think it was a surefire thing that he was going to be the franchise guy. He was going to be the long-term answers. You still have the young pieces. And look, if this team could win 8 games with Aaron Glenn first year, that's a high level of morale that you have entering year 2, where then maybe you take a flyer on a quarterback in the draft this coming year. So look, I think whoever gives you the best chance to win, that's who you put on the field. Hopefully this team gets their first win of the year with Tyrod Taylor today, because if not, like I told you before the show, Matt, people are going to be calling for Aaron Glenn's head.
We got a super chat. Let's go to it. Jets flight plan says, I had a vivid dream last night. The Jets will win today. I've only had decades of nightmares about the Jets for decades. It's a sign we are winning today, baby. Let's go, Jets. I hope Jets flight plan is right. I know we were talking about, earlier how, this could potentially be a tough matchup for the Jets, but let's take a positive spin for a second, Connor. What has to go right for the Jets to win this game this week?
What has to go right for the Jets to win? Protect Tyrod Taylor, pressure Baker Mayfield, and I'll try to throw in a third one here. The secondary needs a strong performance today. I know Emeka Ibuka is going to be on a snap count, but Mike Evans, Sauce Gardner is expected to shadow Evans today. Behind that, the Jets have struggled mightily. When you talk about the secondary, Brandon Stevens and Michael Carter II hasn't been the same. This secondary needs to step up.
I'm going to add a couple more. Those are ones that I agree with, obviously. I think they need to create a turnover. They haven't had a turnover yet through the first 2 games of the year. I think that's important to steal a possession. I think defensively, you mentioned the secondary. I'm going to mention 2 guys in particular here with the Jets defense. Jamie Sherwood and Michael Carter. Those are 2 guys who are supposed to be some of your better players on the defense. I think they've really struggled through the first 2 games of the year and need to look like, last year's version or previous year versions of themselves. And from there, you can't have these silly mistakes. In week 1, it really cost them, right? It was a game they probably should have won, but silly mistakes, they don't win. And then last week they get blown out. And obviously Buffalo is a better football team than the Jets, but still at the same time, some of these mistakes that they had is part of the reason why they did get blown out in the first place.
Oh, certainly. And I want to get to this comment here, Matt, that I saw from Dano, I believe it was, his number of snaps for Quinnen at defensive end today. Ooh. It is funny that you say this because I actually wrote about this for Jets X Factor earlier this morning, and kind of the under the radar way the Jets can replace Jermaine Johnson and his snap count. And I floated out the fact that Michael Clemens, whether we like it or not, he's going to play over 50% of the defensive snaps today. That's going to happen. He's in line to be the next starter. But behind Clemens, Braden McGregor, inactive in week 1, abysmal performance last week. Tyler Barron saw just 7 snaps in the season opener. He was a healthy scratch. in week 2. When you look at these guys on the interior, Matt, these defensive tackles, Quinnen Williams, Juwan Briggs, Leonard Taylor III, all have experience on the outside. Williams has logged 228 snaps throughout his career on the edge. Taylor lined up outside 51 times as a rookie last year. Briggs saw 28 snaps at the position across 6 games during his rookie campaign last year. I think we're going to see the Jets go big in a lot of sets on the outside, with one of those 3 guys stepping in for Michael Clemens, stepping in for Jermaine Johnson today. And I think that's for the better. Sure, if you slide Quinnen Williams on the outside, do you lose that a little bit of pass rushing juice on the inside? Absolutely, but you're not going to have a penalty machine. You're going to have someone who has experience at that position still and is able to get in the backfield with his explosiveness.
Yeah, that's, I think that's a really good way to mitigate some of the issues you could have on the defensive line. Assuming no Jermaine Johnson, Michael Clemens has played roughly 55% of snaps in the first 2 weeks of the year. In a perfect world, he's not playing over 60%, but that idea of moving Leonard Taylor out, or Juwan Briggs, or Harrison Phillips, whoever that ends up being, I think that would go a really long way to the New York Jets. One, stopping the run better this week, too, if you just play a little bit bigger, but also, I don't know, man, do we have to keep tossing Michael Clemens out on the field? Maybe get a little creative in how you line up defensively.
Oh, absolutely. Spruce it up, mix it up. And look, when you talk about the defensive play calling and what they've done these first 2 weeks, there's been way too much cover 1. And Baker Mayfield will fry cover 1 with his arm and what he is able to do. So the Jets defense needs to mix and match with their play calling today. They were way, way too predictable these first 2 games of the year.
All right. Well, we have a caller on the line. Want to get to our first call of the day?
Absolutely, folks. You guys can call into the show with the pinned link at the top of the chat if you're watching us on Matt's channel, and then the pinned link in the description if you're watching on my channel. Shout out to everyone joining us. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. Subscribe to both of us at Matt O'Leary and Y. Connor Long is my channel. We appreciate the hell out of you guys. If you guys don't want to call in, you still want to get engaged in the chat, you guys could still do so by throwing your questions, your comments, your thoughts in the chat, that we will continue to go to super chats, gifted memberships. Those will cut to the line, but let's go over to the phone lines, Matt.
All right, let's start with Alan. Alan, what's going on?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. First of all, off topic, I was blown away by Fernando Mendoza last night.
He's my
God,
QB too.
Oh my God, that guy was unreal. Ball placement with that size against a top 10 team, unbelievable. That guy right now is a top 15 quarterback, and he's going to climb even more if he continues to play like that against top quality opponents on the road.
Agree.
As far as today is concerned, I know you brought up moving Quinn into the edge. I just don't think they have enough bodies to play the edge, to set the edge against the Bucs. The Jermaine injury, in the beginning of the week, I actually thought the Jets had a chance. The Jermaine injury is so important for the way this defense is going to be played. I can see Bucky Irving just having a huge game, both in the run game as well as in the pass game. I just don't know how the Jets defend that. Unless the Jets just send the farm or send the house.
Looks like we lost Alan there, but I think he brings up an interesting point on the Jets defensive line, and potentially some of their issues if they do decide to move Quinn in or another interior player over.
Sure, absolutely. There's no one. There are no bodies, and frankly, I was a little puzzled by the fact that they didn't use one of their 2 practice squad call-ups on Eric Watts. Obviously, you have to elevate Brady Cook. You can't have one quarterback being Tyrod Taylor, especially on your active roster for game day. However, the Jets had flexibility to move Isaiah Oliver over to safety and kind of plug and play there. I would have much rather use a practice squad call-up on Eric Watts rather Dean Clark.
Okay. I definitely see why you say that, especially with someone who has the positional flexibility like Isaiah Oliver does. That's a good point. And, we haven't seen much of Eric Watts. Obviously, he started the season on the practice squad, but last year I thought looked okay at certain points during the season.
Certainly, and I will say this regarding Alan's college football comment there regarding Indiana's Fernando Mendoza. My summer scouting rankings at the quarterback position, Matt, that I never actually released, but I have in my spreadsheet. Fernando Mendoza was my QB1 from summer scouting and all the film work that I did. He has since dropped to QB2 for me behind Drew Aller. I've been mixing up those as the college football season progresses, but yeah, Fernando Mendoza, Drew Aller, Lenora Sellers. Those are my three guys. Klubnik has been too inconsistent for me thus far, and I don't get the Nussmeier hype. I'll say that.
Okay, I would like to also I like Mendoza and Aller, by the way. I think both have a lot of Mendoza's played better during the season than I think Aller has, but Aller's got a lot of the intangibles. Something about Mateer, man. I don't know. He does it for me. I think he has some of that, and it's easy to make this comp with the headband and at Oklahoma, but he has some Baker Mayfield in his game.
I like it. I haven't watched enough John Mateer to fully make a comment on him, but yeah, he's certainly been drawing a lot of attention. It's just so interesting. Like Caleb Downs, I granted I haven't watched the most college football among anyone in the room here, but like Caleb Downs was expected to be the number 1 overall pick. I don't see a safety going number 1 overall. So much can change. We're talking draft already here in September. I also really like Carson Beck, not as a first round guy and another summer scouting guy I really like, but maybe a second or third round guy. He reminds me a lot of Will Howard in the sense that he's run a pro style offense before. He's someone who has a lot of experience, has a quick, snappy release, is able to move. Look, I like Carson Beck. There were a lot of questions how he was going to bounce back after that severe injury he suffered last year and how he would fit in at Miami. He's fit in really nicely on Mario Cristobal's squad. So I've been very pleased with what I've seen from Carson Beck.
We got another super chat. Let's go out to Fletch, who says, I can't take seriously anyone calling for Glenn's head after 3 games. New regimes are judged at the end of the season, not in 3 weeks. I can't agree more with this comment, Fletch. It's something that I was talking on Talking Jets this week on Tuesday night about. Because there was some pressure this past week starting 0-2 and with how they looked against Buffalo. You got to give it the year, man. And I get it. Like, it's a week-to-week league and people, get frustrated. And I'm frustrated too. They should have won in week 1, and I thought they'd play much more competitive in week 2 against Buffalo, but we got to give it some time. I think it's only fair. See how the season progresses, right? You hope that he learns from some of the mistakes that he and the coaching staff made in week 2, and let's evaluate at the end of the season. That's where my head is.
Unless the Jets win 1 game this year, Aaron Glenn will be back for next season. I'll leave it at that. But in all seriousness, however, Mike Francesa, I thought, had a really interesting rant on his podcast that I wrote up. Like, Aaron Glenn getting snippy with the media is not the way to go about this. Like, the press conference last week was grueling, having to listen to that after the game. Like, you can't be short-fused and act like that with reporters once you begin to lose games and your team isn't playing well. He said, I got to look at the film 3 times in a row to questions. And then did you see the clip, Matt, where he blatantly ignored a question from Zach Rosenblatt about the team's passing attack and just moved on and said, next question? Like, that is not going to work in New York with the New York media, because you will get ripped apart should this losing streak continue.
Yeah, they're going to get frustrated. The media is going to get frustrated if they're losing games and they're not getting their questions answered. I definitely think that is something to keep an eye on. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, with a win, I feel like that first win just kind of takes the edge off of everything, and I hope that it comes this week.
I would have loved if it just came in week 1, and even if you lost these next 2 games, just start 1-0. I mean, I have the Jets in my official schedule prediction. I have the Jets, I think, starting 2-5 or 2-6 and finishing 8-9, 8-8 going into the final game of the year. So the first half of the year is super difficult. I think if they can get to within 1 game under 500 come the bye week, like, when is their bye week? Week 9, Matt, or week 10?
I think it's week 9.
Okay,
yeah, week 9.
So if they are 4-4 by week 9, or 3-3 or what would it be? Yeah, 3-4, whatever it is, 3-5, whatever it is. Just be in that range. You can't have 6 losses going into the bye week. That's the bottom line. Aim for 5 at a maximum and come out of the bye week with an easy schedule and string together some wins.
Just because I know we have another caller we'll get to in a second, but I just wanted to pull this up from Dano. He's asking about the weather. It looks like it's going to be partly sunny and in the low to mid 90s for most of this game. So a hot one. And it's Florida, so I would expect some humidity there as well. So it's gonna be a hot one and partly sunny. No rain or anything like that to worry about, though.
Last time I remember the weather being this hot, it's when the Jets lost 30-0 to the Miami Dolphins, and Zach Wilson had to come out of the game because he was dehydrated. Remember that, Matt? That was a fun one.
I do remember that. Fun is one way to put it. I don't know if I would say fun, but it was definitely something, Connor.
Oh, it was brutal. Like, they were just turning the ball over like inside. It was I don't even want to relive that game. 30-0. Reminded me a lot of last week, except last week I think they lasted a little longer, and at least Tyrod Taylor threw a touchdown. And Jeremy Ruckert caught it, and his dad did a whole thing on Twitter about it when he threw it from the backup quarterback. Win the game this week. Don't make it anything like last week.
I'm with you. Let's get back to the calls. NY Jets Florida is up next. What's going on?
What's up, fellas? I'm trying to recover from last night's meetup. So it was excellent, actually. It was awesome. A lot of people I never met, like Leany, Dave Briga, Rick Ken. There was a lot of people there that I've never met before. Some people I saw that I met at the draft party, which I saw you at, Connor. Yeah, it was great. We had a good time. But I'm working outside in a hoodie so I don't get burned. But today is not a bad day, Florida-wise. Like you said, partly cloudy, a little bit of a breeze. It is going to be hot, and I don't want to hear anything about percentage of snaps because you don't play them next Monday night. We need to go out and win this game. I don't care if Quinnen plays 90% of the snaps. He played at Alabama. I mean, come on, man. I mean, that's brutal weather there. It's probably even worse in Florida in the summer. So I would say the defense, we need to see the defense for once show up, make big plays, turnovers. If we can ever see one of those, if at all possible, this would be the game to do it.
Certainly. And we do have the list of inactives, so I will pull that up for us here on the show. Fields, Jermaine Johnson, Tony Adams, Kanena Wangu, Esapole, J2 Fele, Josh Reynolds, the inactives. Only one healthy scratch today because the Jets had a ton of players dealing with injuries, and that is Esapole. Jelani Woods, who the Jets claimed off waivers, he's going to be active for the first time this year. Jets have 5 tight ends active today. So you're rolling with 5 tight ends, 4 wide receivers, that is, with Reynolds out. So 9 total pass catchers, if you count Isaiah Williams, who is just a pure punt returning, kick returning special teamer. But that is the list of inactives. There are a lot of injuries for this team.
Yeah, I was going to say not too many surprises, honestly, with the number of injuries that they've had this week.
Certainly. Ted, you got anything else?
What is Tristan Wirfs? I'm assuming he's not playing. Tristan Wirfs?
Yep. He's
okay,
out.
So fellas, no excuses. We probably need to see, maybe a pick 6 today. Sherwood and Quincy Williams, you need to show up, son. We'll see you around, fellas.
Thanks so much, man. Enjoy the game. Yeah, I agree there with NY Jets Florida. I do think it's time for both of those guys to get this thing going in the right direction. Both very talented at the linebacker position, but have left a little bit to be desired through the first 2 weeks of the year.
Absolutely. An interesting guy in the injury report, J2 Fele. He's been dealing with an illness, as the Jets have described it, for 2 weeks now. So intriguing what's been going on there. Jets, obviously, one guy down on the interior of the defensive line. I'm intrigued to look at the tight ends today. Like, you have 5 tight ends active today. Are they all going to play snaps? How are they going to contribute? It'll be intriguing to watch that.
Absolutely. Before we get back to the comments, just wanted to mention that this pregame show is brought to you by Sleeper. Use promo code O'Leary to get a 100 deposit match up to $100. I have 3 picks today on Sleeper. Mayfield more than 1.5 passing touchdowns, Garrett more than 50 receiving yards, and Bucky Irving more than 50 rush yards. All you have to do with Sleeper is pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Like I said, use code O'Leary and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. All right, let's get back to some of these comments here. It's a little early for this, but I think we do get into it with Kyle's comment. Score predictions for today. Where's your head at with this game right now, Connor?
27-17, excuse me, Tampa Bay. I have the Jets losing by 10 points, touchdown, and a field goal. They could certainly win today. This isn't a non-winnable game for the Jets. Based on what I've seen, I don't see it. However, give me the Bucs by 10.
I'm very close. I had it 28-17 Bucs, and obviously, like, we want the Jets to win. I want the Jets to win badly. I did a video yesterday talking about, what has to go right, how the Jets could steal an upset. But right now, I'm at the point where I need to see it first with this defense before I make that prediction. They've given up 30-plus points in each of the first 2 weeks. I know Tampa's offense hasn't been, lighting the world on fire. 20 points in week 1, 19 in week 2. But, they struggled against the run last week, which scares me about Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving's also good as a pass catcher. They use their backs really good out of the backfield, catching passes, which I think can be an issue for this Jets defense. And with Emeka Egbuka playing in this game, we know that Sauce is going to take care of Mike Evans, but is Brandon Stevens going one-on-one with Emeka Egbuka? Like, what's the plan there? And, he hasn't looked good enough in the safety play. I don't think has been good enough yet. So I hope they prove me wrong, but I'm not, crazy confident going into this one.
Well, I'm just get stops on third down. I don't think enough people are talking about that either, Matt. Like, there are so many times where it's, all right, 2 quick stops, first and second down, 3rd and 8, 20-yard gain. I mean, the play that drove me crazy last week was when Mitch Trubisky came in and just threw a dart to Keon Coleman 25 yards down the field on 3rd down, where the Jets could have gotten off the field, and then the holding penalty on top of it from Sauce Gardner. Get off the field on 3rd down. That's going to be a huge thing for this team.
It absolutely will. And I do have another prediction too. Actually, I'm going to save that one for the hot takes. I'm not going to, when we get to that, I'm going to put a pin in that. Right now.
Save that thought. Yeah, guys, you can continue to hop in with us, support us, smash the like button, hitting subscribing to both of our channels, of course. And you guys want to get engaged, you call into the show at the link in Matt's chat, the link in my video description down below. If you guys just want to chat, your questions, your comments, your thoughts, throw those in the live chat, and we will continue to get to those. We appreciate the hell out of you guys. We appreciate your support, as always. Let's see. Let's see where we are in the chat. Yo Holmes says Clemens derangement syndrome is full blown. Q ain't playing edge. What are we ever talking about?
Have you watched Michael Clemens play football for any of the past 4 years, Yo Holmes? That's my question to you. Have you watched him play? It's not derangement syndrome. The guy has had costly penalties year after year after year, and another one in a huge spot this past week against Josh Allen. You have to know better in that spot. It's 3rd and 19. You can't go up high on a quarterback. I'm sorry. I know he flopped. I know he jerked his head back. That's what he does, but you can't go up high. You can't do it. So I'm sorry, Yo Holmes. I can't get on board with this. I really can't.
Not only that, but let's not act like Quinnen Williams has never played edge before. He's lined up there over 200 times throughout his NFL career. This isn't some crazy thing. I'm not saying a Harrison Phillips go line up at edge rusher. I'm not saying, have Quinnen Williams drop back in pass coverage. He's done it in his career before, and I think it makes the most sense for the Jets, Matt, especially the fact that we've kind of seen, Jawan Briggs blossom over these past couple games on the inside and make an impact.
Yeah, it's they got to change something up because it hasn't been working with the edges behind the top 2 guys. Will McDonald had a really good first game. Jermaine Johnson made a couple plays in the first game also, but beyond that, they've gotten very little there, where the depth behind Quinnen Williams has played well. Harrison Phillips has had a good start to the year. Juwan Briggs has had a good start to the year. Leonard Taylor as well. Like, I think it makes sense to go bigger this week rather than be like, hey, let's toss, Michael Clemens out there instead.
Yeti says thoughts on Sherwood bouncing back. I think he's pissed about last week. This is an interesting take because Matt Sherwood, and I never like to overreact because it is only 2 games into the year, but these past 2 weeks, Sherwood was borderline unplayable. We were seeing Marcelino McCrary Ball come in his place. We were seeing Francisco Maui Noah come in for his place. He has been unplayable as the captain of this defense. He needs to step up.
Yeah, he really does. And I hope that he's pissed about last week. It was embarrassing. They kind of said as a unit, I think Quinnen Williams had a quote where it's like, we talked and we said, like, we can't let that happen again. Paraphrasing, but essentially that's what he said there. And today's their first test. Go out there and prove it. I'm glad that you realized this is something that you can't repeat, but let's now see it.
Is there a line where you draw, Matt? Like, say the Jets allow 30 today, say the Jets allow 30 to Miami. Is there ever going to become a point where you might want to turn this play calling over to Aaron Glenn defensively?
Yeah, I think it can get to that point. I don't know if in week 3, like right now, that's where they are, but they can't give up 30 points every week and expect, not to change anything. That's the first change that would make sense. I think it would be Glenn getting more involved in the defensive play calls.
Certainly, because I haven't had a problem with the offensive play calling. Last week they were just getting shut down. Like, the Bills' defense was just dominating the run, the pass. Like, I'm not blaming Tanner Engstrand for last game, but the first week when the Jets had an opportunity, man, his innovation was on full display. The defense has been where this team has been lacking, and I'll make a special teams comment here, Matt. I do not want to see Isaiah Williams be the primary kick returner for this team.
Okay.
Again, or return punts. He was brutal last week. The vision was grueling. The speed was not there. He is so freaking slow. Call up Jamal Pritchett. Well, obviously they can't do that this week. Utilize Isaiah Davis. Isaiah Davis had a few nice returns. I just can't watch Isaiah Williams back there returning kicks again.
What would your pivot be? Who would you have back to return kicks?
I'd put Isaiah Davis and Arian Smith. I'd put those 2 guys, and then I'd put either Davis or Cisco on punt returns. Probably Davis.
Yeah, I think Davis has looked okay, I thought, on the returns. I don't know how he is as a punt returner. I feel like we haven't really seen that all too much, but on the kick side, Arian Smith and Isaiah Davis, I think, makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, I like the speedy guys. Like, if they put Arian Smith and Jamal Pritchett back there, I think that would be the perfect combo. By the way, side note, did you see Xavier Gipson got released yesterday?
I did see that. It wasn't a very long stint with the New York Giants, unfortunately.
Nope. That wasn't active. Didn't play a snap. I feel bad for Gipson because it's not like he's like a total jerk. Like, if he was just a bad guy and like a total jerk, I'd be like, screw you, and he had like an ego or whatever. But like, I like Xavier Gipson, the person.
Sure.
But the player, he's just not a good football player.
No, and that, unfortunately, that happens sometimes. Look, he served the role, had a great play week 1 in 2023. That will always be remembered. It's a tough league. It's not easy for these guys.
Matt, we'll dive into our hot takes. Just Flight Plan says, hot take, Mason Taylor having a big day. What was the hot take that was pinned in the back of your head?
Hassan Reddick sack today. Which is just like, of course, unfortunately.
Wouldn't surprise me.
And I'll give you another more positive one on the Jets side. I think we see a big Arian Smith game, like a 40 plus yard pitch and catch from Tyrod Taylor to Arian Smith today. Interesting.
I'll give you my hot take. A Jelani Woods touchdown today.
Ooh.
Play action bootleg in the red zone, something like that. And Jelani Woods, who the Jets claimed off waivers, gets in the end zone. He's a touchdown today. That is my hot take. It's like, again, they must have a plan for 5 tight ends if they have all 5 active today. We know what Beck is as a blocker. He's going to play that hybrid fullback role. We know what Mason Taylor's role is, obviously. Stone Smart, nothing. Jeremy Ruckert had the garbage time touchdown last week. How they utilize Woods, how they utilize Smart, the question marks. 8OB says Will McDonald 2.5 sacks today.
Ooh, I would sign up for that.
I think Will McDonald has a sack. I don't know about 2.5.
I'm going to say 1. I think
Yeah.
Wyatt earlier in the chat called 1 sack for Will McDonald.
Yeah, so
I want to pull that one up. Yeah, Will McDonald 1 sack. Yes, I think he gets 1 today. That's going to be my prediction.
I'll sign up for a sack from Will McDonald. Sharon, the matchup's obviously favorable with no Tristan Wirfs today for Tampa Bay. Barney says, do you think our historic Jet fan negativity has any measurable effect on the team's legendary lack of success? It's because of Joe Namath. It has nothing to do with us.
No, I don't think it's Jet fans' fault. Unfortunately, I think look, like Detroit fans have gone through it for so long. I'm sure they were very negative, and then they hired the right guys. Jared Goff turned into a really good quarterback there, and they have a good system, and they're a really good team. So I think they just have to get right.
Couple more comments here before we go back to the phone lines. Oregon says, how much does Arian Smith play and in what role? I think he's going to play a huge role, like we said, Matt, especially given the fact that Tyrod Taylor is starting today and the history that he has with throwing deep to receivers and taking calculated risks down the field.
Yeah, I wanted to pull it up. In the first 2 weeks, he played 9% in week 1 and then up to 47 in week 2. I would think probably around that same mark, roughly half the snaps. And I think he gets 2 to 3 targets. I don't think he's going to have a massive day, but I think, they'll pick their spots with Arian Smith.
Doug says, I'd love to call him, but I'm testing a theory today and going to see what happens if I don't call him. Didn't we try that last year, Matt? And they were like, just hard to watch by like week 10, and of course it did. I've tried everything with this team, nothing sticks, Matt.
Yeah, it's I don't know if we tried that or not. I don't remember. You probably have better memory than me, but let's see if it works in 2025. You never know.
Hopefully, and then if they win, Doug can't call in for the rest of the year. That's the
until they lose. Yeah, until they lose a game.
There we go, Matt. You want to keep going with the calls?
Yeah, we will get right back to the phone lines now. A man with the Jet, and then it cuts off. Is it Jets takes?
Man with the Jets tattoo, Carl.
Oh, there we go.
Wow,
love it.
Anyway, this is my first time calling, Matt. I'm usually more on Jake Asman and Boy Green. How you doing, Connor?
I'm doing well, Carl. How are you?
I look at you in amazement sometimes.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
When I was growing up, kids your age were pretty stupid. It's true. Kids are smart now. You guys are smart. But anyway, is Jelani Woods playing today?
He is, yes.
Jelani Woods, I think he's almost like a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched some of this guy's highlights from year 1, and if he's healthy, this kid can make a difference, I think. And on another note, with all these injuries that they have to their offensive line, not the Jets, the Tampa Bay, if the Jets can't get something going today, I think I'm just going to have to, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've been doing this for so long, I don't know how much longer I can take it. Every week I'm thinking they're going to kill me this week or maybe next week. But
they got to get a win eventually here, man. One of these next 2 games has got to be when they get a win.
I get it. I think that one of these next 2 games, but that's always in the back of your mind. Like we went into the Buffalo game with all their injuries, and it happens all the time. And now we're going into this game, and they basically have, I don't know if they have any starters on their offensive line. If we can't get to Baker Mayfield, or shut down a run game, we got to shut down their run game. I mean, if we don't do that, I think we lose the game. I don't want to say that, but I think that's the reality. We've got to shut down their run game. Anyway, listen, thanks for letting me vent before the game comes on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for the call and enjoy the game.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. And this matchup this week against Tampa Bay. Wouldn't you feel so much better if they were 1-1 right now instead of 0-2? If they just held on and won in week 1, because then, if you drop to 1-2, assuming, they don't win today, you go, all right, Miami looks really bad. Get to 2-2. You're keeping your season afloat through 4 games. Fine, whatever. But now it feels like the pressure's on even just a little bit more because, man, 0-3 and 1-2 looks a lot different. I know it's early in the year, but it's a huge difference.
1-1, 0-2, a huge difference as well. Like, you don't want to have to talk about must-win, salvage the season type games this early. That's just happens to be the harsh reality, however.
Looks like John gifted a membership on your channel. Shout out to
you, John. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate the support as always.
We got another legend on the line just checked in. I think we got to pull him right up here. Our guy Johnny Boy is checking in. Johnny, what's going on, man?
Love the hair.
Hey, Connor, Matt, what's going on, guys? How you holding up?
Doing well.
Doing good. Doing good.
Hey, you guys can hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Fine.
Okay, cool. It's a tough one. It's a tough game for me today because I got a lot of family members that are Buck fans that live in the Tampa area. And I don't know, man, with the 3 offensive linemen that are out, shouldn't we eat? But then we got Jermaine out. I mean, our defensive freaking guys should get home and get to Baker, but is that going to happen? Like, do you guys think that, are the linebackers going to communicate the correct way this time and not be put in positions again? Is their tight end going to eat on this game? Dude, I'm not going to front, man. Baker has notoriously torched us every single time that he's played us, going back to that Cleveland game. So
that's when it all started. And funny enough, Tyrod Taylor started that game, and then in comes Baker Mayfield.
By the way, I feel so I think I've been pronouncing Tyrod's name incorrectly all along. Apparently it's pronounced Tyrod.
Yeah,
as
Tyrod.
Baker said. So I feel like an idiot now that I've been saying. But at the same time, everyone has called him Tyrod since he's been in the league for 16 years.
Hard habit to break.
Yes.
I think I say this, man. I think we need to stay disciplined. Stay on your person. Don't let that individual get behind you or anything, and let what happened to us last week happen all over again, dude. Because I mean, not for nothing, Baker can create with his legs and extend a play that could go potentially to a bomb. If anything, I think I'm more worried is on isn't Evans, man, as always. Like, that's the guy that I'm fearful of anything, So we'll see. Because who's covering who? Is it Sauce going to be covering Evans or Mbuka?
Yeah, I think he's gonna shadow Evans in this game, which means Stevens on Ibuka, which there's
NMC too, yeah.
Yeah, that scares the crap out of me, honestly.
Do you think at some point he makes the move and puts in the rookie and AZ Thomas, or is it they still believe in Stevens?
Well, AZ Thomas, I don't think has played a defensive snap this season. So they have showed no confidence in him whatsoever. I will try to fact check that.
He played 5 last week.
Played 5. Okay, it was week 1. He didn't play a snap defensively. He played 5 last week. Like, you spent a 3rd-round pick on the guy, a premium 3rd-round pick. You expect him to be ready to go, Johnny Boy.
That's what I mean. So, or is it going to end up being Stiggers?
Stiggers, I don't even think is a rosterable cornerback in the league. Like, he's a special teamer. He's not a rosterable cornerback.
But you know what, guys? I still say the Jets win, baby, on a giant upset. Because I bleed green, and I don't give a shit what people think, man. So still, Jets, Jets. Let's go, Gang Green. Connor, Matt, you guys killing it. What are our Mets doing? Why do they always do this crap to us at the end of the season?
Don't even mention it.
Nationals.
Yeah, I was there last night. In the night.
Oh, you were there?
I don't know how you don't score bases loaded, 1 out with Nimmo up at the plate. That was a horrible
blow that 2-run lead at the time as well. I don't even like it's. They're just not even fun to watch anymore. Like, the years where the Mets are fun are like last year, where no one had any expectations and they outplay, and then they go into this year and it's just like 2022, where they build your hopes up and they get off to a hot start and then starts to crumble. Like even if this team makes the wild card, I don't view them as a team that makes it far in the playoffs. I just don't think they have that it factor to contend with these other elite playoff teams.
I say this: if we don't make the wild card, I can see the headline, dude. With all that money that's been put into this team right now, it's gonna be a nightmare, man. But hey, I appreciate you guys. Jets win it. Pick 6 by Sauce to win the game. My hot take. I'm out.
All right. See you, Johnny. That's awesome, man. I would sign up for that in a hot second.
Oh,
pick 6 to close it out.
Has Sauce had a pick 6? I might.
No. No. He should have against Dallas 2 years ago, but he dropped.
And he ran too quickly and he just dropped the ball. That game was another brutal game as well. The highlight of that game when like Zach connected with Garrett on that slant for like an 80-yard touchdown. It was like a simple slant concept, and Wilson took it 80 yards to the house. What was that? That was like 40-10 or something like that.
Yeah. Week 2, 2023. So,
and after they won, the first game is with Zach as the full-time starter. Look, all the week 2 games have been brutal as of late, with the exception of 2022. With the no, they won last year, but 2022, that game, Matt, still remains my favorite game as a Jet fan, with the onside kick and the fake punt earlier in the game. Joe Flacco.
That was a fun one. Absolutely
bring me back to 2022, Matt. What were they, 5-2 at a point?
Yeah, they were 5-2, and then they lost the Patriots game and dropped to 5-3, and then they were 7-4, and we know how that year ended, unfortunately. But
Braxton Berrios with that drop against the Vikings, and I wasn't even home for that game, Matt. I remember I was listening to your pregame show. I was going to the city, and I was listening to your pregame show years before we even knew each other. And I remember listening to your Vikings pregame show. I think you picked the Jets to win that game, and then I was watching it on the streets of New York City on my phone, and I wanted to throw my phone somewhere when Berrios dropped that pass, because 2022 was like the first year where I was like really, really into the weeds and like knowing every player and this and that. And it was just, it was such a fun year for the first half. And the Bears game, like there were just so many games where they were so dominant, so fun to watch. The Bears game catches my mind, where we thought Zonovan Knight was Barry Sanders 2.0 and all that. And take me back. Can this Jets team just do half of that?
Back to the super chats here. We got a few to catch up on. Liam says, just put $10 on Jelani Woods touchdown plus 4,500. That'd be a pretty nice return there. I hope it hits for you, Liam.
I think actually that's a favorable line. 4,500. So put 10 on it, so he'll win 450.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure the math is right there. So you have $450 to risk 10. I like that.
I spent $10 on a lot worse than a long shot Jelani Woods touchdown play. I'll tell you that much.
I was going to say Sunday ticket, but then I remembered you don't live out of market, of course. I mean, I feel bad for the out of market fans who pay like $500 a year to watch this team. And like, this is the first year they really have to do it. Like, if I was an out of market fan these past couple of years, I would just go to like a sports bar to watch the games, because they had so many primetime games the past 2 years. Like, you're paying $500 for 6 games or 8 games. But this year the Jets have 2 primetime games it is. So yeah, I mean, Sunday ticket is just robbing Jet fans of their money.
Yeah, I'm not a Sunday ticket fan. Which is rare for someone in my age demographic. I have cable. I am pro using the cable. Don't cut the cord. Plug it back in.
That, and also like people who stream it like Sling and Fubo and Hulu and all those providers, they're so behind during the game too.
I can't deal with it.
Yeah, they're like a play, 2 plays behind. I wouldn't be able to do it. It's absolutely brutal. I don't know how those they handle that, but yeah, just come on. Don't make an embarrassment of yourself today, Jets. I can't emphasize that enough. I'm tired of it.
A couple more chats before we get back to our phone lines. David gifted 10 memberships. Shout out
you, David.
To Connor Long, and John
much appreciated.
Also tossed in another one there. So loving it. Connor's racking up the channel memberships. Dano has a chat. 30-22 Bucks. Final answer. Braylon scores. He's one of the biggest Braylon Allen fans that I know. I really hope that this week is the week that Braylon starts to turn it on. The Jets need a strong game from both their backs today.
Certainly, I hope it's 30-22 in the Jets' favor, that final line today, Dano. And not only like it would feel so great if the Jets just won today and the season would be alive, but when the Jets lose, I like just go and I start writing and I do all my articles and stuff. But then I just lose my appetite to watch football for the rest of the day because it ruins my whole day. Like I don't even want to turn on Red Zone for the 4 p.m. window. I don't even want to watch the Sunday night game. It's like bro, the same team does the same thing to me every single game. So keep me in the football mood today. My fantasy teams are actually doing pretty solid.
Nice.
I'm 2-0 in my in our Jets X Factor league. Expected to go start 3-0 in first place, and then the dynasty league that I'm in with ESPN's Matt Miller. I'm also in first place with
Hell
a 2-0 record. Thing is, in all 5 of my leagues, Aaron Jones was my starting running back. And he now goes on IR. So I need to adapt. I think I have Kareem Hunt like starting in all of them now. This is the year where I did absolutely no prep for the fantasy draft, and it looks like I have the best team. Meanwhile, last year I did the most prep that anyone could. I listened to every fantasy podcast. I had like spreadsheets and stuff, and I finished. I think I made the playoffs in like one of my 5 leagues. So I think less is more when it comes to fantasy.
Yeah, sometimes that's all it takes, man. You gotta look. There's skill involved in fantasy football, yes, but I do think luck plays a factor with injuries and that stuff too.
You just gotta know the rules. Like if you know the rules, draft right, and then it's in luck's hands. How are you doing in fantasy, man?
I am 2-0 in one of my leagues and 1-1 in the other, and I like my chances today in both leagues. So
there we go. Love to hear it. Is there money involved in those leagues?
Yeah, not crazy. I think one's a $50. I think they're both $50 leagues, actually.
Okay, so there we go.
Not anything crazy.
Yeah, money is what makes fantasy fun, in my opinion. Like, sure, bragging rights is fun, but when you start throwing money in, that's when it really gets exciting.
For sure. All right, let's get back to our phone lines. Our guy Wyatt is up next. Wyatt, how's it going, man?
Good. I called in because I wanted to ask you about. Did you already talk about your sleeper picks, Matt?
I did, but I tell you what my 3 picks are for this game.
All right.
I have, let's see, Baker more than 1.5 passing touchdowns, Garrett more than 50 receiving yards, and Bucky Irving more than 50 rushing yards. Those are my 3 plays.
All right. I did Brandon Allen running more than 15 yards, Will McDonald getting half a sack. I don't know who the T. Smith guy is, but he's a linebacker, so I think 6 tackles is, kind of expected from them.
Okay.
Jamian Sherwood getting 10 tackles, which is I think he can do, and Quinnen Williams getting 3 tackles, which is the one I'm least confident about, to be honest.
Okay. No, I like those though, especially the linebacker plays, because if both teams are running the ball in this game, they should rack up tackles like you're thinking.
Right. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're a linebacker and you're not getting 7 tackles in a game, I don't care what's going on. You failed your team. Like that's your only job as a linebacker is to get tackles. Like, come on.
Yeah, and Jamian, I mean, how many tackles did he have last year? He was towards the top of the league, no?
He was third I think he led in solo tackles. He was third in total tackles.
Yeah, and he has
over 150, I think.
158 last year. He's got 19 through 2 games this year, so I think he has a good shot.
The one I'm least confident, though, is the Quinnen Williams 3 tackles. I think if they're running it a lot, he might be able to get it. It's just defensive linemen don't get very many. So that is the one I'm not very high on.
We talked about earlier with some of their issues on edge, maybe if they played Quinnen outside a little bit more this week, I think that would favor better for you if he's playing on the end than in the interior to rack up those 3 tackles.
You think I guess we have the defensive tackle depth. It kind of makes sense to move him outside. Has Quinnen done that before?
228 times throughout his career, he is lined up on the outside.
All right.
Yeah, it was more than I thought too when I heard that stat.
Another thing I wanted to say is you two look like you're both from New Jersey. You're a very New Jersey pair of people. Like
really? Okay. We're both Long Island guys.
Yeah.
New Jersey, Long Island, same thing.
More or less.
Especially when you're talking to a guy from Wyoming. I don't know.
Oh, you're from Wyoming. Oh, so you're a Sunday ticket guy? Or
I'm a pirate because I'm not paying $700 for Sunday tickets.
I don't blame you. I think that's what I'd be doing if I was in your shoes.
I did see they have a veterans discount, so I might buy it next week. But I'm not buying it this week.
Okay.
Thank you for your service, then.
Yes.
Thank you for thanking me. Anyway, that's all I had. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. Thanks, Wyatt.
Appreciate Wyatt.
good stuff from our guy Wyatt. He came out to our Jets Broncos game last year. I always give him credit because he was the voice of reason, and I didn't want to listen. I was like, I think the Jets are going to blow him out today. And he's like, well, they have a pretty good defense. I think it's going to be close. And 10-9 final score. So Wyatt knew I was way too confident in that game.
How was the turnout at the week 1 event? I don't think we spoke about that.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. We had like 65, 70 people out with us. And, it's so cool at those events just to like talk to the people that I feel like I talk to every day in the chat. And like, I don't, you don't always put the faces to the name. Yeah. So it's a really good opportunity to, kind of just hang out, talk Jets football. And it was a blast. Unfortunately, they didn't win, but it was a fun, entertaining game that we got to see.
It was better than the 10-9 slugfest that you saw last year.
Yeah, I mean, the games that myself, Ryan, and Green Bean have gone to, that one's by far the best. So Pittsburgh this year. Last year was the Denver game. Year before that was the Chargers Monday night game.
Oh my God.
Year before that was the opener against Baltimore. And then year before that was the home opener against New England where Zach Wilson threw 4 picks.
Yeah, I remember Zach Wilson threw more picks than Aaron Rodgers did that entire year in that game than Aaron Rodgers did the entire year. Zach Wilson, the fact that Dolphins fans are asking to see Zach Wilson is hilarious to me. I don't even know who their third string quarterback. I know it's not Skylar Thompson because he's with the Steelers. But whoever their third string quarterback is better. Quinn Ewers. That's who it is.
That's right. Yes, Quinn Ewers. They 6th round pick, I believe. They spent on
7th round. 7th round.
7th rounder. Okay.
Late round pick. I'd put Quinn Ewers if I were the Dolphins in before I put in Zach Wilson.
Because at least you don't know what Quinn Ewers is at this level, right? Like the unknown, I think, is more appealing than what we've seen from
the thing that drives me crazy about Dolphins fans is they crapped on Zach Wilson since the day he was drafted. Then he signs with the Dolphins, and they know how stupid of a move it is, and they're like, Mike McDaniel maybe could make something happen with him. Jets coaching, that organization is just an absolute. It's the Jets last year. That's who they are to me. I think you got to just tear literally everything down from Chris Greer all the way through Tua and Mike McDaniel and just start fresh. Take a quarterback in the first round and go from there.
I agree with you on that one. Another comment, David Bruce, our sports bar here in Glasgow is bouncing. Let's go Jets. Love that. David Bruce always supporting from overseas. That's what I'd be doing too. Like if I lived really anywhere outside of New York, but especially overseas, I would go find a local, watering hole that's going to have my game on with sound and just belly up at the bar, eat some wings, some nachos, have a couple drinks. That sounds like a great way to spend the Sunday.
Yeah, the whole UK, but London in particular, especially someone who spent time there during game week last year, like the London, they had a really nice setup at their like Jet fan club or whatever. And there were a ton of Jet fans there. Actually, the stadium was really intriguing, man. And it's like one of the biggest soccer stadiums in the world. It's where Tottenham, one of the top Premier League teams, plays. And it's a super weird setup. There is no parking lot. There are no parking lots at the stadium. So my dad and I, we ultimately just took a train from the hotel, but like trying to Uber from there was an absolute mess. And it was just like a stadium in the middle of a neighborhood. It was so weird. There were houses within like 1,000 feet from the entrance and like apartment buildings. It was so weird. It was like kind of think if like Citi Field was just planted in like the middle. It's kind of in like an area there, but like
right
if there were like houses in the parking lot of Citi Field, it was super super interesting. And
so like Green Bay, that's how it is in Green Bay.
Yeah. So kind of like Green Bay in that sense, except I mean like Green Bay, what they do is wild with renting out their driveways and like they're actually making money. By renting out those driveways.
That's what I did when I went to the Hall of Fame 2 years ago for Revis and Klecko. Very similar, very residential area. And I parked on some dude's lawn for $10. I was like, I'm not going to find parking. Sure. Yeah. I'll put it in your backyard for $10. Here you go.
Oh my God. So that is what stadium? So Hall of Fame's Canton. And it's kind of like is that field like maintained year round there?
It's a turf field. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, it looked nice. That's where I believe Canton's high school football team also plays.
Oh, sick.
So,
for sure. All right. What are we, about 50 minutes, 53 minutes away from game time here, Matt? We got anything else that we want to indulge into before we?
Yeah, I think we just give our final thoughts here on this game. I know we both said our score prediction, so if anyone missed it, I was 28-17. You were
27-17.
Okay, so we both are thinking Jets lost today, but in order for the Jets to win, strong defense has to play 10 times better than what they've looked the first 2 weeks. And another note that we found out when we looked at the inactives, the Jets are carrying 5 tight ends today.
Yes.
So this has got to be a big tight end game, I would think.
Certainly. And they only have 4 active receivers, counting Isaiah Williams. So that's 3 active receivers who really can contribute on offense for you today. So look, it's going to be intriguing to see how the Jets utilize them. Arian Smith, Garrett Wilson. Those are my 2 guys I think will lead the way in today's game, Matt.
I hope you're right. I hope it's a big Arian Smith game. Take a shot to him deep down the field. How about, Stone Smart screen pass? It looked good against Green Bay. Let's mix that in. Jelani Woods, a big wide receiver. Mix it, I know he plays tight end, but he can essentially play as a big wide receiver. Let's see him get creative today offensively.
Certainly, Matt. Interesting game for the Jets. Go get a win. I know we don't have them winning, but it would be great. Get to 1-2. Win next week. 2-2 going back to MetLife for week 5, baby.
I love it. All right, so that's going to do it for us in this one, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out for our pregame show. Subscribe to each of our channels if you're new, and we'll catch you guys next week.